She gave some money to a homeless man to help him. Later, she learned what he used the money for. Today can be either a good or a bad day. We might meet someone, be pleasantly surprised, or have a conversation. We have a hero here who will share a story with us, and we're eager to share it with you. We got in touch with this hero who wants to stay anonymous, and she agreed to tell us about her experiences. She works as a doctor in the U.S., specifically in California. 15 years ago, things were very different for her. She had just finished her studies and decided to become a policewoman. During her time as a policewoman, something important happened that she can never forget. In the fall of 2005, it was a normal day for Jenna. She was getting ready to perform her duty. At the time, she was patrolling the city streets, and on her patrol, she looked at all the parents with their children, the happy students, and all the busy businessmen in their own affairs. But at one point, all of them passed by a homeless man searching through the trash. Something overcame her, and she decided to approach him. I saw him from afar. He was alone next to a container, taking some bags from there, maybe to find food. He was obviously hungry, so I got sad and asked him, "How long have you been here?" Jenna asked him, and he immediately started apologizing. But she replied, No, I didn't come here to tell you to leave. Calm down, I won't hurt you." When she felt that he had calmed down somewhat, the man told her his name and that he'd been out on the streets for 10 years before his life had taken a drastic turn. He had a home and plans for the future. He was eager to have children, but his downward spiral began with the tragic loss of his beloved wife. Unable to take the loss, he began spiraling in drinking, eventually moving on to drugs. Without realizing it, he got addicted to escaping his reality, eventually losing his job and his home. Perhaps out of her youth and little experience or sympathy. Maybe, Jenna decided to do something few would. On that day, Jenna bought him a pair of shoes and a jacket she bought from a store. It was very cold outside and seemed like he needed it. She brought him hot food too. The next day, Jenna came back to visit, and they spent a long time talking about various things, quickly becoming good friends. One day, the woman decided to take him to rehab so he could leave his current life behind, as he was still struggling. He only had to provide a specific form of ID, but he didn't have the money to get one. Gina gave him the $7 to cover the document request form so he could quickly be on the path to get a job and change his life. Although she knew that giving him money could be potentially dangerous due to his current situation, as many homeless people may prioritize the next hit or bottle instead, something inside her told her that she could trust him. That day, before saying his goodbye, he promised her to spend the money on his documents and nothing else. Gemma trusted him, but as soon as she didn't see him the next day in his usual place, she knew something was wrong. She kept coming back again and again, but he no longer showed up there, simply disappearing. She went to the help center he was meant to register in, and they told her he never showed. Of course, Jenna felt cheated because she thought she changed his life for the better. She lived with that uncertainty for 14 years, not knowing if he was okay or not, or if something had gone wrong. Not long after the man's disappearance, Jenna resigned from her position as an officer and decided instead to fulfill her dream of becoming a paramedic. And of course, her mind often wandered back to that man she met all those years ago, hoping he was all right and that she'd get her answers someday. October 24th, 2019 turned out to be that special day. Gina walked into a gas station, and while settling with the cashier, noticed the man standing behind her was really looking at her. As she was about to leave the store, he stood in front of her, looking her straight in the eyes with tears in his own. "Don't you remember me?" She stared at his face and suddenly realized it was the same man. Turns out he kept his promise after all. He managed to get the ID much earlier than he thought, so he immediately got to work and got so busy he couldn't come back to his usual spot much. He'd gone back a few times, but never when she was around, and eventually not seen her at all because she resigned by then. He was promoted after a few months, moving to another city a few years down the line. He met his future wife there, settling and becoming extremely happy. The entire time he'd been trying to find Jenna without success. He thought their ways had simply parted, but 14 years later, fate reunited them in a city hundreds of miles away from their original meeting spot. At the gas station that day, the two grown-ups cried like children. They weren't afraid to show their emotions because this meeting wasn't just a chance event, it felt like destiny. Jenna shared with us, Right there in the store, during the busy workday, I simply asked an employee to take a picture of me with him. I wanted to share this experience because kindness is incredibly important. A small, kind gesture can completely change someone's life. Remember to be kind to everyone you meet, because one day, they may come back to you with immense gratitude, maybe even wanting to keep in touch. This story has undoubtedly touched the hearts of some of you, showing how acts of kindness can either make or break someone's future, often making it better. What do you think of Jenna's action? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. Also subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.